We turn now to the ground level and go into the school building and turn to Angela Sims. Angela, as a fellow principal, a fellow traveler, I know that you're in the thick of it every day with teachers and students and parents and other administrators, and probably the home office as well. Maybe you can tell us, what's it been like since mid-March for you and your school? And even before you do that, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the Ted Leonard Regional Gifted Center, because it sounds like an extraordinary school that you lead.
Sure. Good evening. It's a pleasure to speak for you today. Just to answer the question initially, what's it been like since March? It's been constant flux. It's been exhausting. I am the principal of a relatively small school in Chicago. It's a selective enrollment school, so the students are come from all over the city of Chicago. So it's a rather diverse population of students. We actually have a pretty large percentage of students of color, over 65%. And with that, it's a very diverse group of students socioeconomically as well. They represent many of the communities in Chicago, from some of the most affluent to some of the most in need. So there's a lot of different needs that are there. So this since March, we've been just constantly moving. It's demonstrated the need to be extremely nimble during this time. As Nick mentioned, we literally are building this plane as we're flying it. And as a principal, it's always this need to really make sure that you are taking care of, the students. And as much as we would love to focus on academics, a trend that has been set across the board, we just really need to make sure our students are okay and their families. So a lot of what has taken place up to this point has been a lot of outreach. There's been a lot of communication just to really make sure everyone is safe and they have what they need. Basic needs such as food. We have been a food distribution site since March. So families are able, not just our students, but families from the community are able to come and receive meals daily. So that we have been on the ground floor trying to distribute devices, making sure that there are enough devices for our students so that they can connect to the internet and engage in the learning remotely. But not just that, really respecting the developmental needs of children. Our school serves children from pre-K through 8th grade. So we have 4-year-olds, but we also have 14-year-olds. So really making sure that we meet the needs of all of the students. So there's been a lot of communication, a lot of collaboration, a lot of flux, a lot of change, really responding to the needs. In March and the spring up until June, a lot of what we did was just social emotional support for students, checking in with them, checking with their families, just making sure that they could connect. Since school reopened in September, we started again remotely. We have started to try to shift to academics, but that also has been a slow churn as we recognize that it's different for students and meeting the needs of families. Many of the students are learning at home with their parents. Parents are teachers right now. They're in the classrooms with them and we're in their homes every day. So recognizing that we are partners with the parents. So I've been doing a lot of outreach with parents and just reaching out to even just share, we're in this together. Acknowledging that and knowing that this is not going to be perfect. And as much as we know that issues of equity, there's going to be learning gaps that exist. Right now, we just need to make sure that everyone has basic needs such as food, making sure that they have a computer connection, respecting families that if the child isn't necessarily able to turn on a camera, being responsive to that, supporting teachers. All of us were thrown into this in March. We had no idea that in November we'd still be in this remote setting and not having seen each other up until this point. We have many children who haven't seen their peers or haven't really been outside since March. So recognizing that impact on a student and its development. So it's been constantly just really just churning and moving and making sure that we're doing what's best for children. And even when we recognize that the academic gaps are there, being responsible enough to slow down and recognize that we have to meet their needs social and emotionally as well.